ride for everybody, man. Banks, Lamborghinis. I'm over Banks had a Lamborghini. That shit in the snow, man. Even put it in the garage in the snow.
You took a picture with Rick Ross. Back against the wall and just slide.
You know, all that because it was still my start. So I was just going to the stars, the company building, meeting with the execs, and there might be 1 or 2 execs in there, and they just watching me see if I'm good enough.
Because this beef isn't just about money, it's about legacy, power, and straight up betrayal. Word in the industry is that it all traces back to a shady $120 million BMF deal Ross allegedly orchestrated behind Meech's back. Insiders claim Ross played with the contracts, twisted numbers, and cut Lil Meech out of major profits tied to the BMF brand. It left him not only broke, but humiliated, a painful blow for someone carrying the weight of his father's empire on his shoulders. Even worse, 50 Cent, who had warned Lil Meech about trusting Ross, couldn't resist dropping a cold "I told him how this would end" online. That comment hit like a bullet. The hip-hop world erupted, debating whether Ross had outsmarted everyone again or whether this was karma finally catching up. Fans everywhere are asking one brutal question: who really runs the BMF legacy now? For Lil Meech, it's been nothing short of a nightmare. His empire's crumbling, his show got axed, and his biggest supporters have ghosted him. The same people who once cheered his rise are now whispering about his fall. One minute, he was Hollywood's rising star. The next, he's watching everything slip through his hands. But here's the wild twist. Rick Ross might have just pulled off one of the pettiest power plays in modern hip-hop history. According to industry chatter, Ross didn't just want control, he wanted revenge. Insiders claim he made a move that broke the barrier in Atlanta, and ever since, fans have been questioning just how far he'd go to keep his name in power circles. Everyone's now asking the same question: how did Lil Meech go from the next big thing to losing it all in record time?
Yeah, so look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
At one point, he had it made. He was the face of the hit show BMF. His acting career was booming, the checks were fat, and his name was glowing in lights. But everything flipped the moment Rick Ross stepped into the picture, and that's when things turned dark. Ross, a master manipulator with a long track record of behind-the-scenes chess moves, reportedly got close to Big Meech after his release from prison. But make no mistake, that wasn't about loyalty or respect, it was about strategy. Sources say Ross used that bond to poke at 50 Cent, reigniting one of the nastiest rivalries in hip-hop. And it worked. Within weeks, chaos hit like a bomb. 50 Cent made a shocking call. He shut down the entire BMF series overnight. No warnings, no statements, just silence. Suddenly, Lil Meech's main source of income vanished. His Hollywood access evaporated, and his career went cold. The red carpets, the million-dollar deals, the cameras, all gone in a flash. From penthouse dreams to empty kitchens, this is what betrayal looks like in real time. Ross didn't just burn bridges, he set the whole block on fire. Years of grind, brotherhood, and progress went up in smoke, all because Ross decided to turn real people's lives into ammo for his feud with 50 Cent.
Kitchen right here, refrigerator, stove. It's the Ferrari right here. Keep the Ferrari for good luck. My Egyptian style furniture, the lion, I like that old school.
The man couldn't help himself, he had to make everything about him. Then Ross poured more gas on the flames, bragging online like he was untouchable. He said, "I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster small budget series. Now it's time for a big movie." He even started name-dropping legends like F. Gary Gray and Quentin Tarantino, talking about how his version would be iconic and historic. But anyone with sense could see right through it. This wasn't about art or legacy. This was a shot straight at 50. Ross wasn't paying homage to the BMF story. He was hijacking it for clout, turning something sacred into a vanity project to feed his ego. And to really see how deep this mess runs, we gotta rewind the clock back to the early 2000s. 2000s, when the name BMF wasn't just a brand, it was a movement. Back then, Big Meech ruled like a king of culture. He wasn't just a street legend, he was the heartbeat of hip-hop luxury. The cars, the diamonds, the wild parties, it was all larger than life. His name carried power in every city, and people moved different when he walked in the room. Around that same time, a hungry young 50 Cent was rising fast with Get Rich or Die Tryin', flipping pain into platinum hits. His storytelling hit raw, authentic. That's when the energy between 50 and Big Meech clicked. Ambition met respect. According to Tony Yayo, the two were tight. Real brotherhood. He even said there were days when 50 would be chilling at Big Meech's crib with a little Lil Meech running around the living room while grown men talked business and dreams. It wasn't about contracts back then. It was about loyalty, hustle, and mutual respect. But as time passed, things got complicated. Lil Meech grew up wanting to carry that torch, dreaming of living up to his father's legend. But the industry he stepped into wasn't the same one Big Meech left behind. The streets had changed, the rules had shifted, and loyalty meant something different now. Meanwhile, 50 had evolved into a business genius, calm, calculated, and focused. He wasn't chasing hype or clout, he was building legacies. From hit TV shows to global liquor brands, film studios, and real estate. 50 wasn't playing checkers anymore. He was playing chess while everyone else was still trying to read the board. And that's where the big split started. Discipline versus desire, strategy versus show. 50's patience made him dangerous in ways Flash never could. At that moment, 50 made his boldest move. The one that changed Lil Meech's life forever. When the industry overlooked him, when nobody was giving him a shot, 50 was the one who saw potential. He invested in him, sent him to acting school, and guided him to build a path outside his father's shadow. That was real mentorship. Even Tony Yayo confirmed it, saying, "From what I saw, 50 was the one who truly believed in him." And that's what makes the fallout so tragic. The same man who helped Lil Meech find his way in the game is now the one watching him get torn apart by someone he once called an ally. That acting training turned out to be pure gold once Lil Meech landed the BMF role. His official breakout moment. Overnight, his name was everywhere. Talk shows, magazines, interviews, and right beside him stood 50 Cent, guiding him like a mentor and a protector. It was a real father-son type of bond. At least that's how it looked to the public. But behind all that glitter, something dark was brewing. As Lil Meech's fame started shooting through the roof, whispers began spreading that Big Meech himself wasn't too happy about how close his son was getting to 50. In one now deleted post, 50 even hinted that Big Meech might have been pushing his son down the wrong path, promoting that fast, flashy lifestyle that nearly destroyed him years ago. That's when things started to crack. 50 was trying to lead Lil Meech towards structure, focus, and discipline, the kind of mindset that builds empires. But Big Meech was allegedly feeding him the opposite, that adrenaline-filled chaos of the past. Two worlds, two mindsets colliding hard. And when it finally exploded, it didn't just cause tension, it tore down everything they built together. Soon after, the cracks became impossible to hide. Behind the fame, behind the red carpets, 50 was reportedly fighting silent battles that most fans never even noticed. He was trying to shape Lil Meech into a professional, not just another celebrity chasing clout. He wanted him to build longevity, not headlines. But according to multiple insiders, the people surrounding Lil Meech had a different agenda. Reports claim Big Meech wasn't vibing with 50's influence anymore. Instead of pushing his son to grow smarter and move differently, he was allegedly telling him to live fast, to keep that BMF energy alive, the very same energy that once caught the Fed's attention. That was the real problem. Two different blueprints for success clashing head on, and Lil Meech stuck right in the middle of the storm. This wasn't just a personal issue, it was a generational collision. Big Meech came from the old school, the world of street money, flashy cars, loyalty that came with risk, and success built on chaos. Meanwhile, 50 Cent had already survived that life. He'd been shot, betrayed, and backstabbed. He'd seen how fast it could all vanish. Now he moved like a strategist, calm, sharp, and business-minded. When 50 warned Lil Meech to stay away from drugs, distractions, and the toxic circles pulling him down, It wasn't about control, it was about love and hard-earned wisdom. He'd watched too many young artists crash out chasing attention, ego, and vices. But Big Meech, still deep in that legend mindset, couldn't let go of the image that once made him famous. People close to the situation said he kept glorifying that same fast life energy, the kind that built the BMF name but destroyed everything that came with it. And sadly, his son was now walking that dangerous line between legacy and downfall. 50 even spoke on it himself in a post that stunned everyone. He said, "I think he was uncomfortable with the relationship between me and Meech. I'm telling Meech not to mess with certain things, and he's telling him he used to do it. Like it's something cool." That line cut deep. It showed exactly where the heart of the problem was. A father stuck in the glory of the past versus a mentor trying to guide the future. Two powerful influences pulling one young man in opposite directions, and eventually something had to break. That break came hard. The final straw hit when 50 revealed he had to send Lil Meech to rehab after whispers about substance issues behind the scenes. That was the moment everything flipped upside down. Imagine investing your time, your energy, your belief, only to see the same demons you tried to protect someone from come creeping back. That's when 50 finally said, "Enough is enough," and stepped away completely. Right after that, the dominoes fell fast. The BMF show was shut down, funding dried up, and every major opportunity tied to Meech's name started disappearing overnight. It wasn't just a business fallout, it was personal. 50 had been more than a boss. He was a mentor, almost a father figure in the industry. Losing that connection was like cutting off the oxygen to Meech's career. But Meech didn't make things easier for himself either. Once that money started flowing, his lifestyle went off the rails. He was living like a rapper, not an actor trying to build a serious career. Exotic cars, wild spending, designer fits, and it was non-stop flexing. He got caught up in the image instead of the grind. Tony Yayo even called it out, saying Meech was rocking Richard Mille watches and Chrome Hearts jeans worth $10,000 a pair. That's not success. That's reckless spending. Yayo compared it to the early G-Unit days, saying they used to ball out too, but 50 was always 3 steps ahead. Every flashy move he made was part of a strategy. When 50 bought cars, watches, or even properties, it was to flip them later, to turn luxury into legacy. But Lil Meech wasn't thinking like that. He was chasing likes, not longevity. His social media became a highlight reel of everything flashy. Mansions, Ferraris, and rooms full of designer furniture. He wanted to look like he was living the dream, even if that dream was slipping away behind the scenes. In one now infamous clip, Lil Meech bragged while showing off his luxury home, saying, "This my kitchen right here. I keep the Ferrari for good luck. My Egyptian furniture." The lion, it was the perfect snapshot of everything that had gone wrong. The glitz, the ego, the distraction, all the things 50 had tried to warn him about were now consuming him completely. And by the time reality hit, it was already too late. He loved that old school luxury vibe. Marble floors, gold accents, Egyptian statues, every inch of his mansion screamed success. But behind those fancy walls, the money was drying up fast. That's the trap of social media. It makes you look rich even when your wallet's crying for help. Lil Meech was hanging with real heavyweights. Lil Baby, Future, Gunna, guys who live that lifestyle for real because their money never stops flowing. They've got tours, streaming, endorsements, investments. Their income comes from 10 different directions. But Meech? He wasn't there yet. He was still learning, still climbing, but spending like he'd already made it to the top. And that's a dangerous gap to live in. Tony Yayo didn't sugarcoat it either. He said straight up, "Lil Baby don't owe you anything." That one sentence said it all. Meech was trying to keep up with giants in a league his pockets couldn't afford. 50 had warned him countless times. Slow down, invest your money, build your foundation first. But Meech didn't listen. He wanted to look successful instead of actually becoming successful. And when the BMF checks stopped rolling in, reality hit hard, like a train. Suddenly all those designer fits, private jets, and Ferraris weren't trophies anymore. They were liabilities. The same lifestyle that once made him look untouchable became a burden he couldn't afford. Because here's the truth, even millionaires can drown when the cash stops moving. That's the exact lesson 50 kept preaching. He always said it's not about how much you make. It's about how long you can keep it. 50 didn't become a mogul by flashing. He became one by planning. Every car, every chain, every mansion he bought, well, it was part of a bigger business move. Flip it, rent it, invest it. He turned luxury into longevity. He even roasted other rappers online for being careless with their money. Remember that post where he mocked someone for leaving their Lamborghini in the snow? He said, "You got a Lambo sitting outside, man. Didn't even put it in the garage." That's classic 50. Protect your assets, move smart, and think long term. But Lil Meech wasn't built like that yet. He was chasing the look of power instead of the strategy behind it. He wanted the fast fame, the viral validation, the clout that comes with looking rich, not the discipline that keeps you rich. And that's exactly when the devil came knocking again, in the form of Rick Ross. Just as Meech's career was hanging by a thread, Ross slid right back into the picture, smiling, scheming, ready to stir the pot again. The same man who started the chaos before came back to fan the flames even hotter. And don't forget, this beef between Ross and 50 goes way back. We're talking years of public insults, diss tracks, and business sabotage. 50 once dragged Ross hard, calling him out for pretending to be something he wasn't. He said, "Correctional officer rapping like a drug dealer." That line hit Ross where it hurt the most, right in his street credibility. And ever since then, their rivalry has been personal, real personal. Ever since that humiliation, Ross has been waiting, plotting for the perfect chance to get even with 50. And sadly, Lil Meech's downfall became that chance. When Ross aligned himself with Big Meech, it wasn't about brotherhood or loyalty. No, it was straight up revenge. It was about hurting 50 through the very person he had built from the ground up. The sad part, Lil Meech never saw it coming and got caught right in the middle of a war he didn't start. What began as mentorship twisted into manipulation. Ross saw the cracks between father and son, and he pounced. He used Lil Meech's loyalty to his father as a weapon, knowing that every move would hit 50 right where it hurt. It was cold, calculated, and heartless. One of the slickest chess moves hip-hop has seen in years. But that same play might have just cost Lil Meech everything. His career, his credibility, and his future. Now it's chaos. A full-blown industry war. Lil Meech is standing in the middle of something way bigger than him, torn between his father's loyalty and the man who gave him his shot. It's a no-win situation. The BMF show, gone. 50 Cent, done with him. And Ross? He's out here online, laughing, posting, turning another man's real-life collapse into content for clout. It's savage. What's crazy is that 50 saw this coming from miles away. He warned Meech, told him that Ross wasn't there to help, but to humiliate him through his own protege. Still, Meech didn't listen. He chose emotion over logic, loyalty over longevity, and stood by his father's side no matter what. That kind of loyalty runs deep, but in this case, it might have been his biggest downfall. The scary truth is, this isn't just about hurt feelings or pride anymore. It's a battle for control of the entire BMF legacy. Ross aligning himself with Big Meech wasn't some friendly gesture. It was a chess move, a calculated power play. By cozying up to the original BMF founder, Ross positioned himself to rewrite history, to reshape how fans see the empire, and to snatch that crown away from 50. That's why he started teasing his so-called big-budget BMF film. But let's be real, that move had nothing to do with storytelling or culture. It was all about ego. Ross didn't want to honor the story. He wanted to own it. He's not competing. He's erasing, trying to wipe away 50's version of BMF and replace it with his own glossy, self-serving fantasy. But here's the tragedy. Yeah, in his quest to one-up 50, Ross ended up destroying the one person who carried the brand's image into a new era. Lil Meech was supposed to elevate the legacy, not become collateral damage in someone else's ego war. And now, that young man's name, career, and dream have been caught in a fire he never started. All because two industry titans turned a legacy into a battlefield. Lil Meech's rise was supposed to be something powerful. It was a story of honor, legacy, and rebirth. He was meant to carry his father's name into a new era, to rebuild the BMF story with class and purpose. But instead, that dream's been swallowed by old grudges, backdoor deals, and straight up bad decisions. What was supposed to unite generations has turned into a mess of betrayal and pride. And honestly, you can't blame 50 for being frustrated. He put real money, time, and heart into building something authentic, not another flashy street fantasy. When he backed Lil Meech, it wasn't about exploiting his father's name. It was about helping the kid rise above it. He wanted to rewrite the BMF legacy into something clean, disciplined, and long-lasting. But when Ross and Big Meech linked up, 50 saw exactly where it was heading. It wasn't about art anymore. It was about ego. That's when 50 made the hardest move of his career. He walked away. He shut down the BMF show completely, not to hurt Lil Meech, but to protect his vision from being twisted into a circus. He wasn't about to let Ross turn his work into some spectacle for clicks and headlines. It was cold, but it was business. And if there's one thing 50 knows, it's how to move smarter, faster, and sharper than the competition. Still, that decision left Lil Meech stranded. No show, no backing, no mentorship. He's got fame, but no structure. Spotlight, but no direction. And that's one of the most dangerous positions in the industry, because people who rise too fast without a solid foundation often crash twice as hard when the lights fade. And right now, that crash looks brutal. No acting gigs, no fresh deals, and the rumors of financial trouble keep getting louder. The same lifestyle that once screamed success. The Ferraris, the $10,000 Chrome Hearts jeans, the Richard Mille watches, now just looks like reckless spending. Fans who used to cheer him on are now dragging him online, asking how someone who had the golden ticket managed to lose it all so quickly. It's a painful reminder that image fades when the structure underneath is weak. But while Lil Meech is losing everything, there's one man who seems to be winning: Rick Ross, the self-proclaimed puppet master of this whole storm. He's using the drama like fuel, keeping his name trending by milking Lil Meech's downfall for attention. Every few days, he drops subliminal posts, gives shady interviews, or throws subtle jabs online, all while acting like it's just business. But the industry's not buying it anymore. Behind the scenes, a lot of insiders are side-eyeing Ross, calling him out for being messy and manipulative. The same guy who's always preaching about boss moves and generational wealth just played a part in tearing down a young man's foundation. That's not mentorship. That's betrayal dressed up as business strategy. And what's wild, Ross seems proud of it. He's wearing destruction like it's a trophy. As for Big Meech, his role in this chaos is just as complicated. On one hand, you can understand it. He wants to protect his name, his son, and the BMF legacy he built from the ground up. But on the other hand, he's now standing shoulder to shoulder with someone who's clearly using that same legacy for personal gain. It's a dangerous line to walk. People close to the situation say it's hard to tell whether Big Meech is being strategic or simply blinded by loyalty. Either way, his influence is all over his son's path. And right now, that path looks unstable and risky. The public's watching closely, and the longer this alliance with Ross continues, the more the BMF legacy gets divided. Because let's be real, at this point, the name that once stood for unity and strength now looks split in two. On one side, there's 50 Cent's version, structured, professional, and business-minded. On the other, Ross's version, loud, flashy, and fueled by ego. And somewhere in the middle stands Lil Meech, trying to hold on to both worlds while everything he built slips right through his hands. Lil Meech's rise was supposed to be a victory story, a son carrying his father's name into a cleaner, brighter era. He was meant to show that the BMF legacy could evolve beyond the streets, that it could stand for discipline, business, and generational pride. But instead, that dream's been swallowed by grudges, manipulation, and bad decisions. What should have united generations has turned into a mess of ego and betrayal. And you can't really blame 50 for being angry. He put real money, real time, and genuine effort into building something authentic, not a flashy fantasy to please social media. When he backed Lil Meech, it was to help him rise above his father's past, not repeat it. He wanted to rebuild BMF's image into something strong and respectable. But the second Ross and Big Meech linked up, 50 saw where it was heading. It wasn't about art anymore, it was about pride. That's why 50 made the coldest move of all. He walked away. He pulled the plug on the BMF show, not out of hate, but to protect his vision from being twisted into a circus. He refused to let Ross turn his work into clout bait. It was brutal, but it was business. And if anyone knows how to make hard choices for the long game, it's 50 Cent. Still, that left Lil Meech out in the cold. no show, no funding, no mentor. He's got fame without direction, and that's the most dangerous mix in this industry. Because when people rise too fast without a solid foundation, the fall hits twice as hard. And right now, that fall is looking rough. No acting jobs, no solid deals, and talk of money trouble everywhere. The same lifestyle that once looked like a flex. The Ferraris, the $10,000 jeans, the Richard Mille watches, now just screams reckless. Fans who once praised him are now dragging him, asking how someone with the golden ticket managed to lose it all. It's a harsh reminder. Image fades when there's no structure underneath. Meanwhile, Ross is out here playing puppet master. While Lil Meech fights to stay afloat, Ross is milking his name for attention, posting slick captions, dropping subliminals, stirring drama just to stay trending. He's using someone else's pain as a marketing tool, and the industry's starting to notice. Behind the scenes, insiders are calling Ross out, saying he turned mentorship into manipulation. The same man who preaches boss moves and generational wealth is now being blamed for tearing down a young artist's foundation. That's not business, that's betrayal wearing a suit. And the craziest part, Ross seems proud of it. As for Big Meech, his role's complicated. On one hand, he's a father trying to protect his legacy and his son's right to the BMF name. But on the other, he's teaming up with a man clearly using that legacy for his own gain. It's hard to tell if Big Meech is being strategic or just blinded by loyalty. Either way, his influence is shaping Lil Meech's path, and that path looks shaky. If Big Meech keeps siding with Ross, it could permanently damage how the public sees BMF, because right now, the legacy that once stood for unity looks split in half. One side is 50's version, calculated, professional, and built on respect. The other is Ross's, loud, flashy, and driven by ego. And caught between them is Lil Meech, watching his dream and his father's name slowly slip through his hands. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to stay in the loop with all the latest tea. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and I'll catch you in the next video.